here's another level to it. Okay. So isn't it interesting as well that there's a Jewish quality to it, but not in the way that you think? Who is overrepresented in the as Me Too targets the Jews?
Harvey Weinsteins of the world.
Who is the ultimate scapegoat? Harvey Weinstein. Now, I'm sure he was terrible, but let's also be honest here. He was genuinely scapegoated. Like they were overdoing that thing. Whether he should be in prison for this. I mean, let's be a little realistic to this. But Jews were overrepresented among bad actors. And I don't think that's a coincidence. So here, I'm not blaming the Jews. I'm doing the opposite. The Jews are fulfilling their time-honored role as the scapegoat, as the bad guy. Whenever there's like the blood libel controversy in some German village, they go and just like kick the shit out of like the jeweler of the village or the Jewish butcher, and they wave crucifixes at him and things like that. And then usually what happens is the king has to come in and save reestablish order and save his ass. Now, QAnon as well. Liberals are right. Like, on some level, this starts to sound like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion or like a Jewish canard on some level.
It's Saint Simon all over again.
Right. It's an evil cabal of pedophiles who drink blood and they're in charge of the government and finance. Like, there's not a big... It's the same structure.
Let's push you a little bit. Let's just give it a little nudge.
Right. And again, like with the QAnon thing and the Me Too, these have combined. Who is being scapegoated?
The Zionists.
Right. A Jew, an obvious Jew. He's Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, he might have be Jewy Goldenstein, McJew face or something. The most Jewish Jew is getting scapegoated. And I don't think that is a coincidence. I think they're like, we talk about medieval peasant superstition. I'm being serious here. And I say this as someone who is, hold on. What is that? Okay. I say this as someone who is highly skeptical of Zionism. I am not a Zionist. I say this as someone who is skeptical of Judaism itself. I've been called an anti-Semite or whatever. I don't care. I'm saying this as that person, but like, isn't it funny that we're sort of returning to these old tropes? Both the Me Too movement is scapegoating Jews, the QAnon is scapegoating Jews, and they got together and had a baby, and it's the Jeffrey Epstein situation. And whom are they scapegoating? Jews. Isn't that interesting? And I would just mention this. There was a lot of scapegoating of Jews and peasant revolts in the Middle Ages. And how did that work out? Yeah. Are the Jews dead?
Right.
Like, are they more or less powerful due to those spontaneous revolts of peasant insanity and stupidity?
Well,
to ask the questions to answer.
The thing is about that, though, is that to create all this energy and all this, as Candace Owens might say, kerfluffle, a debacle, to say about all this that leads to that conclusion by this very people who would say, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-Zionist. What are you talking about? What you do is kind of two things. You justify the oppression narrative and the persecution narrative and the scapegoat narrative for Jewish power, Jewish supremacism, right? Meanwhile, directing all that energy towards this kind of, like you say, peasant anti-Semitic canard that completely ignores the actual reality and structure of Jewish power and Jewish influence and Jewish supremacism. So it ends up benefiting everyone but people who have a clear-eyed critique of Jewish supremacism.